Hello, everyone. This week we are going to talk about arguments and positions. And I know that it says right here, Unit 3. This is for my 8-week class, but essentially I have made Unit 3 your entire unit because we are only focusing on the argument and the research paper and breaking it up into those steps. So I want to talk a little bit about argument and positions. Typically, when you guys think about argument, what do you think about? You think of there's some sort of controversy. I had an argument with my parents. I had an argument with my husband. And typically, there's an exchange of words. It can get heated, but that's not necessarily what argument means in the academic world. Argument encompasses a couple of different components. In some sense, it's the exchange of ideas in hopes of having a conversation. And that's what writing is at the heart. Writing, all writing is a form of argument because our voice, our words contribute to a larger conversation on any given topic. You can look at the argument as a defense of a position, but more specifically, it's the presentation of a viewpoint with the aim of convincing people to agree or at least see the validity of that position or view. I'm not asking, I mean, chances are, especially with issues of controversy, people hold strong, steadfast beliefs, and it's very rare that especially with emotionally driven topics, that you're going to convince somebody to change their point of view, depending on your topic. However, the idea is for you to at least argue that, hey, my position is valid whether or not you agree with it. All right. Like I said, in the writing world, argument is a type of communication and the exchange of ideas. So keep that in mind as we move forward. It's not something about you're right, I'm wrong, you're smart, or I'm smart, you're dumb, that kind of thing. It's really opening an avenue, in a way, an avenue of conversation, of dialogue. If you think about that article that I asked you guys to read, hashtag shame on you, one of what Kathleen Fitzpatrick is largely saying is that we should be open to the exchange of ideas and debate, to be critical of the things that we think, not the people who think them. So keep that in mind as we move forward. Argument versus opinion. My grandmother used to say that opinions are like buttholes. Everyone has them, and some of them stink. But to make my point that I'm trying to make, that argument and opinion are often confused with each other because they both present claims we think are true. For example, I think that the color purple is a superior color and everything should be purple. That's my opinion. It's not necessarily an argument. And the differences between argument and opinion is that, well, the first difference is that argument has rules. And to form an argument, you have to consider if it's reasonable. Is it worth making? Is it valid? Is it sound? Do all parts fit together logically? And part of that is the way that arguments are structured. There have to be very specific key elements that an argument has to have, and we'll talk about those not this week, but next week. And the opinions, however, the rules are really important. Because in order for it to be an argument, it has to follow the rules. Opinions, there are no rules. Opinion, anyone can assert an opinion, and you don't really need to think it through for it to count as an opinion. However, it's not an argument. The other difference is that arguments need support, or arguments have support. And the support of an argument has its own rules. Support needs to be reasonable, relevant, and sufficient. And the type of support that we use are facts, are statistics, works of authority, and all of that is going to come through your research. Argument versus fact. And again, arguments are commonly mistaken for statements of fact because people privilege fact over opinion. While argument is much stronger than opinion because it has support, your argument cannot be a statement of fact, because there's that inherent implication that arguments are arguable, right? There are more than one view, there's more than one side, and all of that can be argued. Facts can't be argued. They're not arguable. They're proven using objective data. There's something definitively true or false about a fact. For example, 2 + 2 is always 4. That is a statement of fact, right? However, arguments, they're arguable, but they are built on supporting facts. They are formed by analyzing facts. They are formed by analyzing the evidence in support of other individuals. So keep that in mind. There are 2 types of argument: explicit and implicit arguments. Explicit, like if you look at, well, people don't make CDs anymore, but those warnings on parental advisory type warnings, explicit language, it means that it's clear, it's definable, and it has a definable thesis, and there are multiple specific proofs to support them. You don't have to read between the lines in order to kind of understand the explicit argument that's being made. And oftentimes the types of arguments that you write are more often than not going to be explicit, because I'm asking you to be explicit, because I'm asking you to define a clear thesis statement. I'm asking you for specific proofs of support. So that's different though than an implicit argument. And a lot of times the things that you are going to read, the things that constitute your research, especially if it comes from a popular magazine or it's a popular source, those types of arguments are implicit because they work by weaving together facts, narratives, logic, personal experiences, and the thesis statement for those types of arguments are not necessarily clearly defined. You're not going to look at the end of the first body paragraph and see this statement of clarity that makes some sort of argument. For example, the #ShameOnYou article that I asked you all to read was an implicit argument. There wasn't a clear statement or thesis. It's not stated in a one sentence fashion at the end of her first paragraph. So implicit arguments also involve evidence. Oh, that's a mistake. Of many different kinds to build and convey a point. So I'm going to ask you guys this week to read an article titled "When Kids Realize Their Whole Life is Already Online." And it's about kids who find out that their parents have posted all sorts of crazy things about them on the internet. And what that means, it's not an explicit argument, but it is an implicit one. And so I want to, in our discussion board this week, I'm going to have a conversation. I want us to have a conversation about what kind of argument this is and what the argument is, and the types of support and things like that she uses. So what does this mean for you? Well, the whole point of your end goal, the research position paper, is to choose, like I said, to choose a topic, an issue, and it can be, like I said, as serious or as lighthearted as you want it to be. Although I encourage you to look at something that you're able to look at with a critical eye, not one that you're so emotionally tied to that you are unable to really look at the the flip side or the conflicting view and find any sort of uh, merit or validity in. So choose a topic, and once you choose a topic, you're going to develop a research question or a series of questions to develop an argument or claim that you intend to develop into a larger research paper. So keep in mind, and this is the point that I'm trying to make in this whole PowerPoint, is that arguments and claims are different from opinions and facts because they are substantiated with research, evidence, testimony, and academic reasoning. More than a statement and support, an arguable claim also goes on to address the so what question, the implications, and why we should care about it in the first place. Though a claim may be arguable, the best claims are focused, specific, complex, and relevant. So throughout the next couple of weeks, or at least this week, I'm asking you to kind of figure out an argument or claim that you want to make in a research paper that you can sustain for 5 to 7 pages. So that's why I kind of wanted to introduce you guys to what argument is, especially in the academic world. So let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and we'll be talking more about arguments and claims for the next 4 weeks.